I'd like to talk to you today about pesticides, and please do not confuse organic with safe. This is an important topic I'd like to start a conversation on because most of us are misinformed. Okay, let's face it, for those of you who understand greenhouse production and flowers, it is very difficult to grow greenhouses full of flowers and full of crops without using some variation of a pesticide. And in today's day and age, I can't preach it enough. A lot of people are starting to use the words organic and kind of associating it with safe. And I just had a great customer come in. She has spider mites on houseplants. And we had this great conversation about how to go about controlling them and how to do it naturally, because she had a traumatic experience with a pet that had an extreme case. She had treated a houseplant insecticide, rated for houseplants, and actually lost her cat due from exposure to the insecticide. Now, in 20-something years of doing this, is the first case directly that I had ever heard of this, but it was extreme. She had a very specific case where there was water pooling up in the trays underneath the houseplant. The cat was able to drink the standing water. The cat was actually going and eating the leaves of the plant. So she was very aware of how to rectify the spider mite problem she was having. And so she wanted organic because she wanted it to be safe. And I know she's not alone in this belief, because when we walk through the grocery store, there's a lot of people spending a whole lot of extra money to buy organic vegetables. And because we're starting to associate organic with safe, and that's not the case. Organic typically just means that the insecticides and the pesticides that those producers that are growing the vegetables, that the insecticides and fungicides are from natural, non-man-made sources. Sometimes that's ginger and clove oil, and other times it's nicotine and chrysanthemums. But I can tell you from experience that some of the most toxic pesticides out there are natural. They're from organic sources. And so, I mean, I was growing up with my professor telling me how nicotine was used as a go-to insecticide because it worked so well, but it was so toxic, it was killing the applicators. And so I treat everything as if it's toxic. And so please do not associate organic with safe. And that's the driving message on here. Really just pay attention. If you want to research it, dig a little bit deeper. If you're really trying to be as safe as possible, then let's have conversations on using the right product to get rid of the insects with the least amount of exposure, and then work your comfort level from there as to how much treatments you have. Because let's face it, with insects on houseplants, we're exposed to them, animals are exposed to them. We want to be aware and be safe. But truly safe, not a false sense of safe just because it says organic. On a side note, I remember that I only just found out even a few years ago that depending on how natural of some of the ingredients were, they weren't even required to do testing. Now, the one thing I do like is the fact that organics, as synthetic chemicals, they do have to go through quite a bit of monitoring, and they are poisons. So I don't care if you're doing a home remedy. I don't care if you're doing natural controls. I don't care if you're doing organic controls or synthetic controls. If whatever concoction you're putting together kills insects, it is a poison, and it's killing insects. So therefore, if you consume or are exposed enough to that product, it could be unhealthy for us. And so my moral of the story is typically use the most effective control in small amounts and start with the mildest treatments first and work your way up from there. And then if you can follow good practices of washing off your plants and doing things to naturally control insects or deter insects, that's the conversation we should be having if you want to be safe. And so that's it. Didn't want to ramble, didn't want to soapbox, but this just drives the point home to me that so many of us are out there thinking we're being safe, thinking we're doing what's best for our children and our health, and it's kind of a false sense of security. And so that's it. Take it for what it's worth. Thanks for listening to my ramble. Take care.